Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'm at Hiroshima Ujina Port and I'm going to be taking a ferry. But this is not just any normal ferry. Today I'm going to be taking the Sea Spica. Now this Sea Spica ferry is a sort of fast sightseeing ferry built in 2020. It normally operates from here, Hiroshima, to Mihara, threading its way through the various islands of the inland sea. But this month, August, it's operating a special service. For certain days in this month only, it's operating something called the Setouchi Sunset Cruise, which is basically a short journey from here to Miyajima and back. And that's what I'm going to be taking tonight, so please come and take the journey with me. And this is the ship just arriving. I've never been on this ship before, but I've heard that inside is quite luxurious. In fact, the G7 summit was held in Hiroshima maybe 3 years ago, and the leaders of the G7 countries took a trip on that ferry, the Sea Spica. So it must be relatively good. So I'm looking forward to seeing the ship itself as well, of course, as the scenery from the ship. Most of the seats on the Sea Spica are on the first deck, but there is an upper deck as well. I think it's basically outside. I think with the weather like this and this beautiful breeze, I'm going to be outside all the time if I can be. Now, I just checked in and got my ticket, and as far as I can see, I'm going to be the only non-Japanese person on the ferry. Which is fair enough, but I'm going to stand out. So given that, I don't want to stand out any more than I already do. So I'm probably not going to be speaking so much while I'm actually on the ferry, because I don't want everybody else on the ferry looking at me instead of the scenery. So what I'll do is, if I have any comments, I will add them when I edit this video later. I have to say, it's a really beautiful evening this evening, so hopefully the sunset will be quite special. I looked at the weather forecast earlier in the week, and the forecast for this evening was actually rain. So I did at one point consider cancelling my ticket, but when I checked it was actually too late, so I would still have had to have paid. So I came, and actually I'm really glad I did. By the way, the long, low island in the background is Setouchi, where I used to live. And obviously, when I lived in Setouchi, I used to use this ferry port quite frequently when I came to the mainland. And it's really wonderful to be back by the sea this evening. I don't get to come to the inland sea as much as I would like to, really. But it's wonderful, really. There's that smell of the salt in the air. There's the wonderful noise from the ripples of the waves. There's that beautiful sea breeze that you only really get by the sea. It really is perfect. In a way, taking a ferry out towards Miyajima in the evening brings back memories, because there used to be a cruising ship that operated from Hiroshima Port, and basically it was much more sort of a restaurant ship than Sea Spica is. I think we get one free drink and one snack, whatever the snack might be, I'm not sure, but on the old cruising ship, it was called Ginga, which means galaxy. You could have a full meal, and in summer they also had sort of mini barbecues on deck, which was wonderful. Unfortunately, that ship was withdrawn a few years ago now, so now there's no real sort of evening cruise from Hiroshima Port. But I suppose, in a way, just for a few nights, this ferry sort of takes its place. So from Hiroshima Port, first of all, we're going to head around the headland at Ujina and call it in at the Prince Hotel, where we pick up some more passengers. The headland at Ujina is a great place to take a walk, especially at sunset, because you can see all the way over the sea towards Miyajima, and, well, if it's a nice day, the sunset is really quite wonderful. Anyway, we're just rounding the headland now, and you can see the Prince Hotel on the right. It's the tall building. I think this is where most of the leaders stayed when they visited Hiroshima for the G7 summit. It certainly does look like it's going to turn out to be a really nice sunset. The Prince Hotel does have its own pier, and I'm pretty sure that there are fairly regular sailings from the hotel to Miyajima, and actually getting off at Miyajima. Because today on this cruise, we don't actually get off at Miyajima, we just watch the sunset and look at the shrine gate from the sea. Okay, we're just leaving the Prince Hotel, and this view is out towards Kure. So on the left is the mainland, heading out towards Kure, and then on the right is Etajima. In the centre of the picture now you can see the Bay Bridge, the sort of arched bridge, and there's a sort of needle pointing up into the sky just beneath the middle clouds. That's called the Tower of Paradise, and apparently it was built for some sort of marine-based festival that was held in Hiroshima in the 1990s, I think. I'd say there's a good chance that the cargo ship we can see right now has just been to Mazda. Near where the Bay Bridge was, a lot of the land in that area is the factory for Mazda cars. Once again, we can see the strip of water between the mainland on the left and Etajima on the right. And the small island just at the right of the picture is called Togejima. Now, when I lived in Etajima, there was always a rumour that there was a hermit living on that island. But all the times I came to Hiroshima on the ferry from Etajima, I never saw anything, and I've never been able to confirm that rumour, so I think it probably is more of an urban myth than anything. It would be nice to think there was someone living alone on a little island like that, though. It's quite romantic, really. The big ship just in front of Togejima now is a car carrier. Again, picking up cars from Matsuda. Now, the big island coming into view is Ninoshima, and the mountain is called Akino Kofuji. In other words, the small Mount Fuji of the Aki region. This area of Hiroshima was traditionally called Aki. It's a beautiful view from the top, but although it's a relatively small mountain, it's quite a nightmare to climb because it's all tiny little stones, and so when you're walking down, there is a real danger of slipping. Ninoshima is a great island to visit. First of all, it feels like you're stepping back into the 1960s, and I mean that in a good way. It's really rural, and it does feel like you're stepping back in time. It's great. You can also walk quite easily all the way around the island. It's a fairly long walk, but it's basically flat, so it's relatively easy. It is a great way to spend maybe 3, 4, 5 hours, if you like that sort of thing. The island was also used in World War I as a place to keep captured prisoners of war. And one of those prisoners of war was a German man who made Baumkuchen, the German cake. And so Baumkuchen in Japan, and it's very popular in Japan, I should say, originated from Ninoshima, that island. I think it's actually something that Hiroshima people are quite proud of. So a few years ago, on the 100th anniversary, there were even trams decorated with Baumkuchen to commemorate the centenary. In the centre of the picture now, we can just see the last part of Etajima. Etajima is actually quite a long island if you're looking at it from this angle. And then the island in the background, in the further distance, is, I think, Kurahashijima. It's a very rural island, but it's great for a drive. There are some great places to visit. There's a great beach, and there are some wonderful views as well. Maybe I should make a video about Kurahashijima one time. I mentioned Kure earlier, and Kure is one of the main naval bases in Japan, and so it's not that uncommon to see warships or even submarines sailing through this part of the inland sea. It really is wonderful to be out on the sea like this again. I haven't been on a ferry for a good few months, and I'm realizing how much I miss going not just to the sea, but on the sea. I think it's especially wonderful at this sort of time of day, when the sun is setting, but although it's setting on completely the opposite side of the boat to where I am now, you can still see that faint hint of sunset in the sky, that lovely pastel colour. I think living in Saijo, I miss this sort of open view of the sky, because Saijo is surrounded by hills. There are 2 or 3 very, very low islands on the right of the screen at the minute, and one of them is called Enoshima. It's uninhabited now, but it used to be a sort of resort island which was owned, I think, by one of the ferry companies in the area. The idea being they took people by ferry and they could spend a day there enjoying the sea, the nature, whatever. I wonder why it was closed. I would have said that would have been a really popular destination, really, but obviously it didn't turn out that way. I have my camera strapped to the side of the ship with one of those bendy tripods that you can twist around things. And I think that's why the video is a little bit juddery, and I apologise for that. But obviously, because the camera is strapped to the side of the ship, it's looking straight forwards, it's looking to the side of the ship. But obviously I can see all the way around, and I can see that Miyajima is coming up very close now. In fact, the island at the very, very right-hand side of the screen, just coming into view, is the very edge of Miyajima. Most people call the island Miyajima, but it's also called Itsukushima. And the shrine is Itsukushima Shrine. I think if you're being completely exact, the town is called Miyajima and it's on the island which is called Itsukushima. It's often said that you're not allowed to die on Miyajima because the whole island is sacred. Now, I'm not sure if that's completely true or not, but when I think about it, in all my time visiting Miyajima, and I certainly like to wander around the less touristy parts, I don't think I've ever seen a grave. So it could well be true that people who die, or people from Miyajima who die, are buried on the mainland. I've also heard that sick people are transported to hospitals on the mainland. I'm not sure whether there are any small clinics or very small hospitals on the island, but again, I can't remember ever having seen one, so maybe that is actually true. From part of Etojima, you can see Miyajima quite well, but you can see the backside of the island, as it were. The main part of the island is close to the mainland, and that's where the shrine gate and the shrine itself is. The backside of the island is much more undeveloped, and many places there are not even roads around the island. But you can see that side of the island from Etojima, and it's often said that the silhouette of the island is like a reclining woman. I'm aware that I'm saying it's said that many times, and that's because I'm not sure how true much of what I'm saying is, but these are all things that I've heard from people over many years living in this area. But it's said that the island is regarded as a goddess, hence the reclining female silhouette, and because the island is regarded as a goddess, for many, many years, females weren't allowed onto the island. That part is completely true. Females were not allowed for many, many years. But it's said that that was because the goddess would become jealous. Fascinating, really. Okay, we're slowing down quite a lot now because we're actually fairly close to where we're going. Basically, the shrine gate. We can just see the ferry port at the right of the picture. and this is the central part of Miyajima town. The town did actually used to be an independent town. Now it's part of Hatsukaichi. The big traditional looking building just above that big shrine gate there is called Senjokaku. It's basically just an open hall, but it's said to be the size of 1,000 tatami mats, hence Senjokaku. And what we can see now is, of course, Itsukushima Shrine, with the shrine gate, of course. After all these years, this is the first time I've seen the shrine gate and the shrine buildings from this angle. Obviously, you can see the shrine and the shrine gate from the ferry as you come over to Miyajima from Miyajimaguchi, the ferry port on the mainland. But the ferry is moving, and so the angle is changing all the time, and also the ferry generally doesn't come right in front of the shrine gate like this. So it's the first time for me to have this experience sitting on a ship which is basically anchored right in front of the shrine gate, and it is a wonderful angle. I'm really impressed, and I'm really glad I came on this little cruise thing tonight. One pretty interesting thing about the shrine at Miyajima is that although it weighs about 60 tons, its main pillars are not driven deep into the seabed. Basically, the shrine gate stands under its own weight. It's a little bit difficult to see from this angle perhaps, but it actually has 6 legs. And the fact that it does have 6 legs, I think, is one factor that aids in its stability. Possibly another factor is the fact that the roof of the shrine gate has stones packed inside it, which makes the whole gate several tons heavier. You can see that once you get out of the little town on Miyajima, much of the island is forested. It is basically what it would have been, or how it would have been, hundreds of years ago. And this is the view over towards the west. We're looking at the mainland now, Honshu. The sun set about 10 minutes ago now, but we're just getting the afterglow, and it's rather beautiful. Alright, all too soon, and rather unfortunately I would say, it's time to head back towards Hiroshima. I've really enjoyed this little trip to Miyajima. I go to the island fairly regularly to take photographs and just to wander around. It's a really beautiful island to visit. But seeing the shrine and the shrine gate from that angle, and then of course this beautiful sunset on top, has been really special. This trip cost 4,500 yen, which is not that cheap, but I would say it was worth every penny, or every yen, I should say, really, I suppose. It is really nice to be in the cool inside, but I think in the end, when I'm on a ferry, I want to be outside, and so I'm back outside again. And, well, this is the view. You have Ninoshima again on the right, you have the hills of Vetujima in the background, and then there's what is fairly much a full moon, I think. Whether it's a full moon or not, the moonlight on the waves is really just breathtaking. Bay Bridge and the Tower of Paradise again. And so once more we go back round the headland at Ujina to the ferry port. We've just dropped off a few people at Prince Hotel, and from here up on the cliff on the headland you can see the lighthouse. And here's another lighthouse. This one guards the entrance to the port. And here we are inside the port. This has been a really good journey, and I would really recommend it if you're in Hiroshima. So we're just docking in front of a car ferry called Sea Paseo. Now, the Sea Paseo ferries link Hiroshima and Matsuyama. They're car ferries, and I think there are two of them now, and I'm pretty sure they're operated by the same company that operates Sea Spica. Alright, so that's us back at Hiroshima Port. It was a really nice 90-minute journey. It was wonderful to just sit outside, enjoy the sea breeze, obviously enjoy the wonderful sunset, and of course enjoy seeing Miyajima from the sea, which is not something you really get to do so often. Obviously you can see it from the sea as you cross to Miyajima from Miyajima-guchi, but this is a little bit different. We spent maybe 15 minutes by the shrine gate, and so there was more than ample time to get plenty of shots. For everyone, really. It was great. As I say, I think this sunset cruise only runs during August. Well, it's the 22nd of August today, so that realistically means that there's probably only 1 week left this year. However, it was pretty popular, and I would say it's probably popular enough that it will be running next year too. So if you happen to be in Hiroshima next summer, especially next August, then consider a trip on the Sea Spica. If the weather cooperates, it's really quite a magical evening. Anyway, as ever, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the little cruise. And the views of Miyajima, and of the sunset for that matter, of course. Please do leave a like or a comment if you enjoyed the video, and as ever, if you would like to consider subscribing, I would be very appreciative. Anyway, I will see you in another video very soon, but for now, from Hiroshima Port, goodbye.